Yo, what's cracking everyone? Eric Ship Triple One here. So it's no secret that Forza Horizon 5 has been the longest running live service game that Playground Games has ever made, lasting just over 3 years with new content being introduced every month. It's been a pretty impressive run. However, the game right now is in somewhat of a weird state. Although technically speaking, there's no more new monthly themed updates along with new content being introduced, we are awaiting the launch of this title on PS5 very soon, and as stated by Playground Games, with the release of Horizon 5 to the Blue brand, one more free content update known as Horizon Realms will be introduced, which will not only feature one entirely brand new evolving world track at the stadium, but also 4 new to Forza cars, all completely for free. On top of that, Playground Games will also be introducing one more final car pack that includes 4 incredibly unique Nissan K cars. But after all this, that's probably it when it comes to any additional content we will see for Horizon 5. The trend of voting for returning playlists will continue, but the question I have is, are Playground Games even trying with Horizon 5 anymore? Now, I know what you're saying, Forza Horizon 5 has essentially reached the end of the game's life, so what's the point in even trying for the team? Look, I'm not saying that Playground Games should be putting in any more effort into making new content for this game, as I don't believe there's much else they can do to further extend the life of this game, but it's the smaller details which at least show that, okay, even though we've reached the end here, there's still going to be thought put behind the returning content that we're featuring. For Update 45, the series that we are currently on, there's already been a couple of examples that blatantly show whatever they're doing, there's been no thought put behind it. First is with the Event Lab Challenge for Week 3, as some of you might be wondering why you were all gifted the Hoonigan Gymkhana 10 Ford Focus. Well, that's because Playground Games wanted to quote-unquote spice things up by shuffling the Event Lab races around, not realizing that the car reward given would directly impact the weekly challenges for that particular season. You see, during the original Horizon Wilds takeover, in Week 3, this specific Event Lab challenge would reward players with the wheel spin and accolade exclusive Gymkhana 10 Ford Focus, which is the same car required to complete the weekly challenge for that season. However, for Series 45, this same Event Lab event was swapped to Week 4, making the event reward for this update's Week 3 entirely useless. I mean, what are we going to do with a Hoonie truck? Now, I understand that for those who have played Horizon 5 early on, this isn't an issue, but there's always going to be new players coming into Horizon 5 every single day, and when the game is so heavily reliant on using a live service feature to allow players to progress further, if they're going to remix some of the older returning content, at least do it with some thought behind it. That way new players won't be so confused as to how the festival playlist works, something incredibly crucial right now considering Horizon 5 is about to debut on a platform where majority of their players have never even played the Horizon series before. Which then brings me to this week's Horizon Backstage car options. Playground Games, what are you guys doing? Why are 3 out of the 4 cars available as an option for players to vote for when they are this series' weekly and monthly rewards? I mean, what's even the point in wasting a slot with the Polaris and Ridgeline when there are so many other hard to find cars that you could have included? Either the cars in which Playground Games put up for players to vote were predetermined well ahead of time, or they're just simply not thinking at all. Because let's say if the votes do favour the Polaris and Ridgeline by some miracle, then doesn't it kind of defeat the purpose of this entire series being introduced? Had players would have known that these were the Horizon Backstage options in advance, I'm sure more players would have voted for the Horizon Creative series instead. Which is why, and I've said this in the past before, the whole voting for which cars should go into the Horizon Backstage is silly to begin with, And that's not even me mentioning some of the car options Playground Games have given players to vote for in the past. For example, why are wheel spin cars like the Honda NSX-R, Saleen S7, Ford GT, Subaru 22B even appearing as options for the Horizon Backstage? As far as I remember, back in Horizon 4, this feature was solely introduced to allow players an opportunity to earn any hard to find cars that were timed exclusives. So why have you all of a sudden thrown in wheel spin cars like we wouldn't notice, or maybe once again, you're just simply not trying or don't even care? Who knows, maybe the theory behind this is well beyond what I can envision, but seeing all this makes me wonder if they're overly stretching the lifespan of this game too long. The team is trying to shuffle things, add cars into features that we normally wouldn't see to increase the engagement of Horizon 5 while not realizing that it's making them look careless throughout the entire process. I mean, if this is the end of the game's life, just give us a simple and honest approach. It feels like they're trying to overcomplicate things by trying to get the community involved every week with the car votes and returning series votes. Wouldn't it just be better if all of the hard to find cars were placed in the Horizon Backstage right now? I mean, we are already limited to earning 2 passes a week anyways, so that in of itself is already a limiting factor. And if the developers are worried that no one is going to play the returning series if they do this, look, when you have over 200 cars available to choose from, and with heaps of players coming from PlayStation, they're not going to be using the Backstage Pass on the cars that show up as their current rewards. Now, as time goes on, this will eventually change. Even PlayStation users will have cars in their garage before the series with those actual rewards show up. But look, that's just where the game is at. It's at its tail end, shuffling events to make it feel somewhat fresh, but end up not making any sense at all, and introducing wheel spin cars into the Horizon Backstage just to stretch an extra few weeks makes the developers seem like they don't care with the decisions they're making. Introducing cars from the exact same series for players to vote for also makes the team seem like they don't have a backup plan should votes go a different direction. I mean, all we're asking is please, if you're going to make small changes or include the community in your voting process, make sure that you do have a backup plan and it all makes sense, because if it doesn't, for us Xbox and PC players, can you imagine how PlayStation players are going to feel? They're going to have no idea as to what is going on with all of this live service content. The final thing I do want to talk about are hotfixes and in-game patches. As some of you may have experienced, last update's Series 44 wasn't exactly smooth sailing. There was an issue with the festival playlist points not banking whenever you completed some of the events, and while I do understand that bugs and glitches happen and at times are out of the developer's control, the way in which Playground Games went about fixing this issue most certainly could have been approached with more care. Because you see, when the first hotfix rolled out, the patch solved the issue, but it completely made the Windows version of Horizon 5 unplayable, where players were experiencing crashes at random times or even their games not loading at all. It was so bad that the developers had to roll back the update just so that Windows players could still play the bugged version of the game, and by proxy also affecting Xbox players having their update rolled back too. It's one of those instances where had someone tested the Windows version of their hotfix, Playground Games would have recognized immediately that this patch wasn't going to work, but instead it seemed like they just went, yep, it's good on Steam and on Xbox, that means it should be good for Windows PC too, but unfortunately it wasn't. So again, please put more care into future game patches. The first issue with the points not banking may not have been avoidable, but the hotfix rollback most definitely could have. And with the game launching on PlayStation very soon, be ready that potential more issues could arise, and whatever decision you guys make, be sure that it's the final decision that's best for the game and for the players. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Playground Games have been kind of slacking a little bit ever since the game game has somewhat reached the end of its life. Share us your thoughts down in the comment section below, as I do read all of your comments, guys. But anyways, if you guys did enjoy today's video, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button, as it really does help me out. And of course, if you guys would like to stay up to date with everything Forza related, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.